Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this lovely sunny day. My name is Fiona Sullivan, and I will be taking you on a brief tour of some of the films in the New South Wales State Archive Collection. This is a little bit different to most of the webinars that we normally present. I will be stopping and starting throughout to present samples of some of the digitised films in our collection. I will first start with an acknowledgement of country. In the spirit of reconciliation, New South Wales State Archives acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. So the films in the New South Wales State Archive collection are there because they were produced, commissioned or purchased by New South Wales state government agencies to assist or promote their work. There are no Academy Award-winning blockbusters here. However, there are films that, regardless of their purpose, tell us a lot about how the people of New South Wales spoke, lived, dressed, and existed in the not so distant past. And for that reason, they are absolutely fascinating. Many of the films are promotional and designed to publicise the work of New South Wales government or a particular industry. There is also a strong emphasis on education. So in today's webinar, I will give you a bit of an overview of the different types of films that we hold in the collection and also show you some of the films that we've digitised and that are available for public access. Films are one of the more at-risk formats in our collection. And this is for two key reasons. The first is that it's very vulnerable to chemical degradation due to the makeup of its physical medium. So the films break down quite rapidly. And also technological obsolescence. So in other words, our ability to access the equipment needed to play our films is becoming outdated and increasingly hard to access. So in 2016, we received funding for an emergency digitisation project to digitise our most at-risk films and other vulnerable formats. The films that I will be showing you today were digitised as part of that project. One of our most significant record series of films in the collection is NRS 4911 Health Education Films. The then Department of Public Health appears to have begun purchasing, commissioning and using films for health education purposes by the mid-1930s. The majority of titles were obtained from overseas, chiefly the United States of America and the United Kingdom. However, some films were purchased or commissioned locally, and it's these that are of particular interest. These health education films cover a wide range of topics, including the structure and functioning of key parts of the body, such as the eyes and ears, heart, lungs, and circulatory system, pregnancy and birth, baby and childcare, adolescent development, infectious diseases and other conditions such as tuberculosis, polio, colds and influenza. They also focused on subjects such as exercise, nutrition and dangers inside and outside the home. For example, electricity, snakes, spiders and road safety. For some of you, these may be starting to sound familiar and very much like the films that you were shown during your school days. These films were culled from a larger collection maintained by the Health Education Division Film Library and were transferred in 1979. They were deemed obsolete for current educational purposes, but were seen by the department as a remarkable collection and a valuable resource for social historians, medical historians and filmmakers. So I'll now show you a couple of examples from that series of films, which I do have to say are some of the most entertaining that we have. The first film, Milk, The White River of Life, dates from 1946. It promotes milk and its health and nutritional benefits. And it's particularly noteworthy that this is demonstrated by a home science class and was filmed at Parramatta Girls Home Science High School.
And I will tell you in the practical classwork how to apply these principles in the kitchen for the benefit of the family's health. Now I want you to take particular notice of the way in which milk is used in cooking.
Future Australian wives and mothers are being given priceless knowledge in the home science schools of today. In this classroom, typical of the fine schools distributed throughout New South Wales, cooking is taught as a science as well as an art, and emphasis is placed on milk, the universal food, basis of sound nutrition.
Just try to imagine, for example, what would happen if we were suddenly deprived of milk. Think of it, a world in which there is no milk and no milk products can be obtained.
Now, don't be long, will you, dear?
No, all right, Mother. Oh, where's the shopping list?
Here it is.
Goodbye, Mother.
Goodbye, dear.
A tin of condensed milk, please.
No condensed milk, I'm sorry.
Oh, haven't you? Well, some powdered milk.
No, no powdered milk either.
Heavens. Well, I'll take a pound of cheese.
Oh, no cheese, no.
My goodness. Well, what milk products have you?
We haven't any at all, they're all finished.
But surely you have some butter, haven't you?
No, no butter.
Oh, bother. What, no milk drinks? Well, could I have an ice cream?
I'm sorry they don't make it anymore.
Well, could I have a cup of coffee?
Yes, so long as you don't want milk in it.
Dawn, what are you dreaming about? I'm sorry. I was dreaming about there being no milk. Then I'm sure you realize now how dreadful it would be. Recess time, girls. The next period will be in training kitchens.
Recess time provides an occasion for the girls to drink milk in the best surroundings. This is the way in which healthy, vigorous bodies are made and youthful minds are kept alert. Relaxation in bright, sunny surroundings with plenty of fresh air gives these girls the proper background for the enjoyment of sensible foods, which include wholesome sandwiches, fresh fruit, and, most important of all, milk. Physical fitness goes hand in hand with education.
Now, while you proceed with your practical cookery, I propose to tell you something about milk in cooking. One of the happiest things to say about a country is that it is a land flowing with milk and honey. Milk is a most important food. Does it seem strange to you that a drink should be called a food? Nature's perfect food is a drink or beverage called milk, and this milk contains the various nutritive constituents in the correct proportion for the growth and correct functioning of the body, and for the development of bone and teeth structure. You know that a baby lives and thrives on milk alone, and although you need other foods as you grow older, milk is still an excellent food for all, and should be included in the diet of young and old, as it is invaluable for balancing a mixed diet. Young people should take at least 1.5 pints of milk daily, and adults 1 pint. Not all of it is a drink, but some in soup, sauce, puddings, or cakes. This amount may create a problem, especially in a big family. However, there are certain economies which can be made. For instance, skimmed milk may be used. This milk retains all the ingredients of whole milk, except the fat and the vitamins contained in the fat. But if ample fat and vitamin A are supplied by other foods, such as butter, skimmed milk may partly replace whole milk. The essential characteristics of milk make it much more than a commodity. Indeed, one of the basic requirements in civilized diet, and it is to be regretted when people are unable to include enough milk in their foods. Food, as you know, has three main purposes, which milk fulfills. 1, to provide energy and heat. 2, to repair the wear and tear of the body, and in the young to provide growth. And 3, to provide substances which control the various processes of the body. Milk contains the following food constituents. Water, which supplies the body with the liquid that it requires. Protein, which builds and replaces the fleshy tissue of the body. The protein is very easily digested, which makes milk a good food for invalids as well as healthy people. The proteins in milk are of a very good quality and are the most valuable proteins there are for building and repairing the body. For the growing child, they are particularly suitable. If we think for a moment, the reason for this becomes obvious. Milk is provided by nature intentionally for the growth of the young calf. Sugar to give the sweet taste to milk and give you heat and energy. Heat appears as cream if milk is allowed to stand and gives your body energy. Milk fat is easily digested fat, as it is in the form of a very fine emulsion. The mineral content is extremely valuable to the body because milk contains large quantities of calcium and phosphorus, which form strong teeth and firm bones. Milk is a rich source of calcium, which is necessary for the normal growth of children. Inadequate diets are liable to be deficient in both lime and phosphorus. Milk also contains the minerals potassium, sodium, and magnesium. Vitamins A, B, C, D, and E are ones that help to protect the body from certain diseases, and they control certain processes in the body. You can now realize just how valuable a food is contained in that glass of milk. We all know that with most foods there is a certain amount of waste, as the shell of the egg or the bones of meat and fish, but with milk the whole of it is useful for food. Be careful with milk. Keep it cool, keep it clean, keep it covered are three simple rules for the care of milk in the home, which the housewife should observe, because while milk is such a useful and pleasant food, unless the greatest care is taken, it can easily become sour and unpleasant, because milk attracts germs very quickly. Therefore, the greatest care must be taken in handling and storing it. The milk jug, or vessel which should be wide-necked and uncracked, needs to be perfectly clean. Milk should be protected from flies and dust and kept away from foods with strong odors. Here are some foods in which milk is an important ingredient. They include custard, junkets, sponge sandwich with milk filling, and milk beverages of many kinds. Vegetable cream soups, milk sauce for steamed fish, and salad dressings are other avenues for using milk. Milk can be used in foods also for infants, children, invalids, and convalescents, and it may be added to other foods to improve their food value. These are only a few of the uses to which the cook can put milk. You have probably thought of many others. You will see that milk, the best of all foods, can be included in a variety of appetizing dishes and thus add to their nutritive value and attractive appearance. Australian people should be very thankful that they are able to obtain a plentiful supply of milk and the substances which are manufactured from it, and yet the Australian consumption of milk is low compared with that of other countries. If we make the use we should of these foods in our diet, we have no need to suffer in health as the people in some other countries do.
Well, anyway, she uses very little makeup. She says milk keeps her skin lovely, too.
Show me, Dawn.
There she is. She has a beautiful figure, and she's full of energy. She told me it's because the vitamins in milk give you real health.
Doesn't it make you fat?
Goodness, no. That's an old piece of nonsense. Why, athletes and models keep slim on it. This one is a physical culture student.
That must be pretty strenuous.
Yes, but she drinks milk, and she told me that she never feels any strain from her work.
She looks nice, doesn't she?
Here's another one. She keeps perfectly strong and healthy on milk, and she's a picture of real vitality. You have to be strong to do this kind of work, and her figure shows you what milk can do to keep you at the top of your form. This boy told me he drank 2 quarts of milk a day during training, and he didn't put on a single pound in weight in 3 months.
Well, goodbye, girls. I'm going to ask Nan to buy extra milk after this.
Oh, so am I.
Me too.
Yes. And so I'm going to have as much milk as you'll let me, Mother.
Why, dear, we'll be glad to buy you as much milk as you like to drink.
That's right, sweetheart. You drink milk and plenty of it.
Good night, darlings.
They're making fine women out of our girls, Mother.
They are indeed, and I'm glad I'm modern enough to profit by what the youngsters are learning.
And there you have it. So that was an excerpt from Milk, White River of Life. And I can't, in fact, imagine a world without milk in it. And I imagine that scene at the end with the girls drinking milk in the school playground brought back a few memories for some. The next film that I'm going to show you from this series is called Alice in Blunderland. It's an educational road safety film produced by the Road Safety Council of New South Wales. And the film features an accident-prone Alice and her boyfriend and aims to demonstrate the foibles of not paying attention to the road when driving. So although the film was made in Sydney in 1947, what's particularly lovely about this is that it features some footage of Sydney dating back to 1908. In addition, before we start, as I should note, as I've noted already, it was made in 1947, and it is very much a film of its era. And some of the attitudes in the video towards women and female drivers in general are quite striking.
Blunderland, on the road that leads to accidents. Where is Blunderland exactly? Not just in this particular street, but any place where the public is careless of its own safety. Incredible, isn't it? Yes, that's you, jaywalking, but you've got plenty of company. You never thought you behaved like that. Walking against the traffic, meeting your fate head-on. We missed you this time, but somebody will get you yet. It would take a traffic officer every yard along every street of every town in this state to protect pedestrians against their own foolhardiness. Even way back in 1908, busy shoppers took the same risks, and there are tombstones everywhere to prove it. My, isn't it quiet? Of course, there were no talkies then. The flighty flappers could hustle their bustles across George Street as the hansoms whizzed by at 10 miles an hour. Look at those fashions. One looks plenty. Motorists, take a peek at that parking space. Careful, Grandpa, get back. So now that we've seen Blunderland old and new, here's Alice preparing with real feminine intuition to get to that pet of a hat in the window over the road. Alice is no fool. She looks for traffic the wrong way. She'd give that driver a piece of her mind if she had any. But she's a driver herself with good understandings. See what I mean? Yes, yes, yes. But this is no time for traffic responsibilities. Let's try on that ducky little hat. Not bad. A bit more over your right eye. You can still see out of it. Silly old rules like putting out a hand when leaving the curb don't mean a thing. The other fellow's in the wrong. He always is. Heaven help the policeman on a sight like this. Don't get the impression that all women drivers are in the same boat. Alice is simply in a hurry, that's all. The law guards the yellow line with his life, if he only knew it, as Alice drives on the only part of the road she can see through her hat. Well, she's not far over the line anyway. A little faster and she might have gone, like that other Alice, right through the looking glass or through the windscreen.
But I didn't see you, Constable. Really, I didn't.
No wonder. With a hat like that. See what I mean?
Wouldn't it? Well, believe it or not, Alice finally got out of town all in one piece to find her boyfriend still waiting patiently. You've met Alice. Now this is the Mad No Hatter. Nice place to wait, son. One-way traffic? Pooh, what of it? She's in a hurry. A few feet from the curb? That's near enough. But that Mad Hatter's not so mad after all. He's going to drive himself. Women drivers? Huh, I'll show 'em. Don't look now, but I think we've got company. Well, let's get out of here into the wide open spaces. It got me nervous now. Oh boy, we were on the spot. Ah, there's nothing like the countryside, the lovely rolling farmlands, the beautiful animals. Time to take in all the scenic beauties, both inside and outside the car. A perfect one-armed driver. He's probably a one-legged driver now, but what was that old Australian proverb, mugs for luck? They're both still all in one piece. The ambulance could almost go out and pick up the victims by itself without the attendants because it had so much experience. Most of its time is spent in picking up the victims of negligent driving, a negligence that is criminal in itself. Don't let the Mad Hatter fool you. There's nothing comic in motor smashes, so maybe he needs a further lesson, and in a moment or two he'll get it. So let's shut up shop and take them in their coma through the looking glass to school. Actually, road safety instruction does begin in the schools of this state, but there are times when we feel that adults could have the same lesson. Times when the elementary road signs could be stressed, such as a triangle for a specific warning of a most serious obstacle ahead. Obstacles like the railway crossing, which can easily lead to a cross of another kind. And the road curve to be approached with caution and lessened speed.
And now, my boy, do you know what a curve is?
I got a fair idea.
But as Alice and the Mad Hatter return to grim reality, you who know how to drive suffer fools gladly. Talking of casualties, remember Australia's war service total of killed and wounded, 95,000. Toll of the road for the same period, 115,000. Driving errors all contribute to the toll of human wastage, greater than war. Lack of observation and road consideration result obliteration. Thoughtless drivers and pedestrians are a deadly menace. Alice in Blunderland. Next stop, Down Underland.
As I mentioned, yeah, the attitudes in the video are quite striking, and also the messages are quite heavy-handed, which tends to be a fairly consistent theme throughout the educational videos in the collection. The next series of films that I'll be giving you an example from is from NRS 21047, cinematographic films relating to the operations of the Electricity Commission. The Electricity Commission had a photographic section, and they produced films that were used for general information and community awareness, for use in schools, training, and as a record of the testing of electrical equipment. Many of these early films were produced by outside organisations. However, some, such as the one that I'm about to show you, were made by the photographic section of the Electricity Commission, working with the Public Relations branch. So I'll now show you a film about Burrinjuck Dam. So this was a promotional film produced in the 1950s and 60s by the Electricity Commission of New South Wales, and it shows visitors to the dam enjoying the holiday spot, camping, fishing and water skiing.
Burrinjuck Dam, mighty reservoir of stored water on the Murrumbidgee River. The dam is a major water conservation achievement, but it also supplies 20,000 kilowatts of electricity for the state network from 2 Electricity Commission power stations. Burrinjuck is rapidly becoming a holiday playground, but for the men working at the power station, an afternoon trawling for cod is no novelty. Each summer's day brings a new crowd of vacationers out for a spot of relaxation. Burrinjuck is set in a national park and wildlife is plentiful. Now, who could complain about 2 lovely girls to drive the speedboat while you water ski behind? Feel safe with a female at the wheel? Then let's go! Burrinjuck, a man-made paradise in southern New South Wales.
Well, that certainly looks like a lot of fun, although perhaps not so much at this time of year. Those of you who particularly enjoyed that video may be pleased to learn that there is still a holiday and caravan park on site at Burrinjuck Dam, so you can feel free to make use of the holiday facility at any time. So the last key series of films that I'll be talking about today comes from the Department of Agriculture, and this film series dates from 1941 to 1967, and the films cover a range of topics that were relevant to primary producers. So the subjects were quite broad-ranging, including pasture production, livestock management, disease control, animal nutrition, and then in addition there was also a general interest series, actually almost a sort of a magazine style content, and the film that I'll be showing you today comes from that collection. So My Handy Kitchen, which dates from 1950 to 1955, is the most popular film we have uploaded to YouTube by a considerable margin. I expect it is due to people's love of all things vintage, especially kitchens. In this film, a woman discusses and demonstrates the features of her up-to-date kitchen.
I live on a farm. Our house isn't new, except for the kitchen, which has just been altered. All my friends are waiting to see it. Well, there it is, all new and shiny, with plenty of cupboard space. No scratches yet, but I suppose they'll come in time. Yes, an electric stove. I know I'm lucky, but as electricity is available, it may as well be used. The sink is just the right height for me. No bending means less backache. It's too low for my visitor, but as I do most of the washing up, it was tailored to measure. The light over the sink makes washing up at night much less trouble. Don't those saucepans shine? They hang on pegs at the back of the cupboard and are so easy to reach, as well as being handy to the stove and the sink. Even the lids come to hand easily. There's a light over the stove as well, just the thing for dull days and winter nights. The china cupboard is convenient to the sink. The cups are much easier to get at on that shelf of their own. And those shelves will only hold one set of plates, so there's no waste space. There's something else that wasn't in the old kitchen, a lapboard. It's just the right height when sitting down to work. Most of the things I want are handy too. When cutting sandwiches, the lunch wraps are in the drawer, and if it's at night, there's a light. Fillings are in the cupboard above. The cake and fruit in the cupboards beside me. You see, everything is to hand. Well, now you've seen my kitchen. But if you'd like to know why it was planned this way, just pop in early one morning. The family likes porridge, so the jug goes on first. I usually start on Betty's lunch while waiting for the jug to boil. That bread bin's very handy. It's really only a biscuit tin painted, but it keeps the bread fresh. A separate place for cutting lunches is one of the things I like best in this kitchen. In the old kitchen, I had the usual table in the centre of the room. By the time breakfast was over, it was literally covered. Another reason for calling this my handy kitchen is that there's no need to walk from place to place for things. There's the saucepan, the spoons in the drawer, salt on the shelf with the tea and coffee. The porridge is in the cupboard with the measuring cups. And that bench is just the right height for that job. Maybe you think it's extravagant having 2 cutting boards, but they're not expensive, and that one between the stove and the sink is very handy. Meat, vegetables and bread can be cut on it. In fact, it's always in use. And what's more, it can be taken out for scrubbing. I'd recommend that to every homemaker. It makes cleaning so much easier. I tried to plan a time-saving kitchen with a place for everything. Even setting the table is quicker now. There's a tray under the sink. Knives and forks are in one drawer. The tablecloth is in the next one. Betty usually does this job for me. I suppose this sort of thing goes on in every home, new kitchen or not. Arthur was off to town that morning, and I was anxious to make an early start with some cooking for the school fete. You know, Arthur doesn't say much, but I know he's thrilled with the whole thing too. Even washing up isn't so bad in the new kitchen. We couldn't afford a washing up machine, but there's hot water, a double draining board and plenty of bench space. Betty generally dries up for me, and it's really wonderful how quickly she's getting used to putting things away in the proper places. Some knives and spoons at the mixing centre, and others in the drawer by the stove. It really pays in the long run, though it may seem a nuisance at first. Most days the washing up is done before she leaves for school. I'd been asked to take some scones and a sandwich for the afternoon tea at the school fete. So now you'll see some more reasons for calling this my handy kitchen. A mixing centre is a wonderful idea. Utensils are kept in the cupboards under the bench. There's paper in the drawer, and the groceries are in the cupboard above the bench. Everything is at the one spot, and there's scarcely any need to move at all. Bad for the figure, I suppose, but far less tiring. I saw some diagrams once showing the distance some women walk to cook a meal. My goodness, I won't forget that in a hurry. When we were planning this kitchen, we made sure not to fall into that trap. It's a simple job to clean those lino-covered benches. One thing that really delights me is that upright filing arrangement for cake tins. I can see the tin I want at a glance. Beating eggs is another task made easier by having the bench at the right height. Once upon a time, there was no time to go to a school fete, or anywhere else for that matter. Now I can go, and I'm not tired out before I start. And when I think back to that old kitchen, Is it any wonder I'm thrilled? In short, my dream of a handy kitchen has come true.
So I'll now move on to tell you a little bit about how to find our digitised films. So the first way to find them is via our website. So what you can do is, if you go to the homepage of our website, www.records.nsw.gov.au, and click on the magazine option at the top of the page, that will then bring up our magazine page. If you then scroll down that page and select all films, it will bring up this page, a page which lists all of the digitised films that we currently have available. And as you can see, there's still quite a selection that you can work through there. The other method is to access the films via our YouTube channel. So at the moment, all the publicly digitised films that we have available can be viewed on our YouTube channel. So if you search for YouTube and New South Wales State Archives, that will bring the channel up in your search results. In our catalogue collection search, if you include the word film in your search and try various keywords, you can bring up relevant results. So some of the films in our collection are still covered by copyright or are closed to public access and cannot be published. So for that reason, we don't make them available online. You can purchase copies of digitised films, and over the next year, as a result of a project that I'll be discussing just in the next slide or two, we will start to load copies of films to Collection Search for download. Another handy tip when you're looking for film is, if you can't find the digitised version of the film on our website, try the National Film and Sound Archive, who have an absolutely wonderful collection and a fantastic portal for downloading and viewing films. So as you can see, just quickly, this is our YouTube page featuring the digitised films that are part of on the YouTube page. And I particularly recommend The Case of the Disappearing School. And again, here's an example of searching for film material in our collection catalogue. So as you can see here, the search for film and farm has brought up a particularly topical film at the moment, Killing Farm Rats. Interestingly, it was an information film for farmers from the UK. So what's happening next? We've been very fortunate to receive funding to digitise more of our at-risk collections. So over the next 12 months, we are undertaking a significant digitisation project for at-risk material. This will include Australian audiovisual material, photographic material, including glass plates and photographic negatives, as well as paper-based material, which will include some insolvency files from 1842 to 1887 and some school administration files. So, and the aim behind this, of course, is to preserve and safeguard these collections for future generations. So I'd like to thank you for joining me today for this webinar.